Growing up in Indianapolis, Joseph Smedley is known for being as smart as he is funny.
His personality was upbeat, very positive. He was a jokester.
We're about 1.5 years apart, so we were really close. He always was trying to play pranks on us growing up, and he constantly was practicing his wrestling moves on me.
He's sharp, he's bright. You knew that he was having an impact on you when you were in his presence.
Just so smart. I always used to refer to him as the little boy genius.
Joseph and Vivian's parents divorce when Joseph is in 3rd grade.
We all just handled it a lot differently. I think Joseph was just really sad. So Joseph went to actually go and live with my mother in St. Thomas for a little while, but their relationship pretty much soured. So he decided to come back home.
Right about the time that he returned, Joseph and I were going through a lot of challenges in terms of trying to get him reestablished back in our home.
My father actually had gotten remarried, and the wife that he was with, it was just not someone that any of us got along with very well.
In 2012, when he's 16 years old, Joseph becomes legally emancipated and moves in with a close friend. 2 years later, Joseph's life takes a positive turn when he's accepted into Indiana University, Bloomington. His classes begin in August of that year.
I was really excited for him. I knew that he'd have a ton of friends there. He would be able to get started off on the right foot.
He was very ambitious, and he really wanted to pursue a degree in biochemistry and pharmacology.
We were estranged, but I kept tabs of him through Vivian. I was always hopeful that Joseph and I would reconcile.
Joseph and Vivian talk practically every day, and she couldn't be happier to see her brother flourishing at college. Monday, September 21st, Vivian receives a call from her brother's former landlord.
I had actually co-signed for that lease that he was moving out of. And apparently, because he didn't have anyone to replace him, he still had to pay to break the lease.
So Vivian had called her brother right away and said, you know, what's going on? Your old apartment just called me. They said you owed around $680.
He said that he would take care of it.
Joseph's former landlord gives him 1 week to pay the remaining balance, which means he needs to drop off a check by noon on Monday, September 28th.
Joseph had checks from one of his summer jobs that he hadn't picked up yet, and that is how he was planning on paying. So I called him that Sunday night and asked if he had everything together for the next day, and he said, yes, I have the check on my desk, and I'll be dropping it off tomorrow.
The next morning, Vivian wakes up to find a strange message from her brother.
I got a text from him. It came around 4 a.m. It said something along the lines of, Viv, I'm sorry, I have to leave the country. I can't tell you why I'm leaving the country to protect you, but as soon as I get set up overseas, I'll contact you.
It did not make sense at all. Joseph did not have a passport.
I thought it was a joke at first, and I responded, shut up, LOL. Better have that check today at noon or something like that.
When Vivian tries to call him, she gets his voicemail.
I still didn't really take it seriously. Sometimes he does things that aren't really funny but are funny to him. I'm just gonna wait and see if he drops the check off. So once noon came around, I called the apartments and I said, did he stop by? And they said, no, we haven't seen him today.
By Monday afternoon, after not being able to reach her brother, Vivian calls the Indiana University Police Department and asks them to perform a welfare check. They discover that he didn't attend any of his classes that day.
They went to his home and he wasn't there either. So at that point, no one knew where he was.
But later that day, the police call Vivian back and say that they've located her brother.
They said that they had found him and that he was in jail. And then I got really confused because he's just not the kind of person that I would ever think would be in jail. So then I actually had a couple other people call the jail and they said there wasn't a Joseph Smedley there.
Indiana University police follow up and confirm there's been a mix-up at the Monroe County Jail.
I get a call back saying, we apologize, we actually did get it wrong. There was a Jonathan Smedley there and Joseph Smedley is not in jail.
Tuesday, September 29th. Joseph is officially declared a missing person. Friday, October 2nd, 3 days after Joseph is declared missing, a fisherman makes a shocking discovery.
We are following breaking news from Monroe County, where a body has been found in Griffey Lake.
They find a fully clothed male. The body is badly decomposed, and there are binoculars tied around the neck.
Vivian is called down to the Bloomington police station.
I was really holding on to hope, and it wasn't until I had stepped out of the car to walk into the precinct that it had hit me that it could be him.
We have learned a body found in a Bloomington lake is that of a missing IU student. The coroner says the cause of death for 20-year-old Joseph Smedley is consistent with drowning.
I was honestly just in shock. Immediately, they're telling me that my brother's no longer here, someone that you've grown up with, that's literally been by your side your whole life.
2 months later, the Monroe County coroner rules Joseph's death a suicide by drowning. The Smedleys learned through the autopsy report that Joseph was weighed down by a backpack filled with 66 pounds of rocks.
I'm not really sure why the police initially kept that information from me, but apparently the rocks in his backpack is the reason why they had deemed his death a suicide.
I was just totally at a loss, trying to wrap my mind around what had happened.
I spoke to as many of Joseph's friends and family as I could get a hold of, and not one single person was able to speak to Joseph having any history of depression or suicidal ideation in any way.
Confusion swirls around exactly what was used to weigh down Joseph's body.
Different reports from the scene refer to them as bricks or rocks. And this is extremely important because there aren't any large rocks around Griffey Lake.
We just don't have all those details because Bloomington Police Department has refused time and time again to release any information about the case. They won't release photography, they won't release the notes. Joseph would have had to walk 45 minutes from his house to Griffey Lake and then find rocks to put in his bag and jump off of the bridge into 5 feet of shallow water. And I actually went down to Griffey Lake and tried to find 66 pounds of rocks to actually put into a backpack, and we were unsuccessful even in the daylight to do that.
How do we know that his body wasn't weighed down with this backpack in an attempt to conceal a crime?
I absolutely believe that my brother was a victim of foul play, whether that is his body being covered up or that it was, something bigger than that. I'm determined to get the answers.